All right. Coach, an opening statement and we can roll.
Yeah, well, obviously last Saturday seems like that was a long time ago. But just reflecting back, great win at homecoming for our guys. Obviously it was a great crowd here, great day, weather was awesome. Just really proud more than anything else of the way our guys took the field. We knew exactly what was at stake, kind of that do or die mentality, making sure that we lay it on the line for each other. I thought guys did that. It was a great day, getting a win like that here at home, to be able to celebrate together in the locker room. That's what it's all about. But obviously we've moved forward. We've been grinding hard all week. We started the week with a lot of recruiting, making sure we took advantage of a small window that we had there to get that done. And then also, we've been back on the practice field a couple days. Today the guys were off, but trying to take advantage of a few reps with our younger players that perform a lot typically during the week on scout team. We wanted to be able to take advantage of getting some reps with those guys to see where they're at in terms of development and all the hard work they put in. So full speed ahead here on Bowling Green. Good football team. Coach Leffler's done a great job there. I think one of the most impressive things when you look at their football team, they're number one in our conference right now in turnover margin. The last 2 weeks they've been +6. Their last 3 wins, they've been +9. So they've done a good job. They got a knack for getting the ball out and causing turnovers. They also do a good job of taking care of it. So it starts with that. Obviously, as we get into action here now, and some of the games that we play in could be a little bit dicey in terms of weather. It all starts with being able to take care of the ball. That's something that's obviously at the top of the list. They've been good at that. But we're going to their place to be able to play in front of a national audience. On ESPN2 is going to be a lot of fun for our guys, and looking forward to the opportunity.
Do you feel like now was a really good time for this kind of mini bye week? I guess just like coming off a big win like that, going into these nationally televised games, and then even before that win, had a lot of struggles. Do you think this was a...
Yeah, I do think it's good, certainly for the guys as well. They've been banging and going at it hard, for 8 straight weeks. So be able to get a couple extra days where they can get some rest, where they can get their body healed up. Nobody's going to be healthy like they were back when you started training camp. But just to try to get a couple extra days of rest, get off the practice field, get caught up maybe on a little bit of sleep, all those things that you take advantage of. And then certainly, too, we're past the halfway point academically, and for some guys need to focus and make sure they get some of those things handled as well. So it's a great time. Anytime is a great time for it, but right now as we make the transition into midweek, it's good for the guys just to get a little bit of rest and try to get some of the bumps and bruises healed up the best they can.
Do you feel like it also helps just in kind of, I guess, recharging the batteries as far as from a game planning perspective for you guys, for the coaching staff?
It does. We're all creatures of habit, though. You just you have your routine, and you just kind of live and die by your routine. I think the one thing, for us, coming off the win, and the coaches were on the road Monday and Tuesday. Some left out on Sunday night because they were traveling a little bit further. But just to be able to see some of our commits in person, face-to-face, at their respective high schools, I think that's a big part of it right now for us too, just to be able to take advantage of that. And then you're always looking for a hidden gem. Is there somebody in that class of 24 that has a unique story that's maybe coming back, or and on the flip side too, being able to offer some 2025 guys, because it's your first time to be able to see some of those guys as well. So, obviously we just, like I said, creature of habit, and you just kind of move on and get a lot of game tape to attack to be able to watch from Bowling Green, and certainly things on our end that the 2 days that were kind of bonus days for us on the practice field, there's things we need to keep cleaning up that maybe pop up from week to week, and we need to give it its proper attention. Sometimes when you're going through your normal week, you never have time for everything. So sometimes being able to focus a couple days where you're just working on yourself is always a good thing.
Yeah, obviously you guys operate under the one game at a time mentality. You talk about that a lot. How do you go about balancing like feeling good about a win that you just had and one that you guys really needed, and then also moving forward?
Yeah, it's just what you do. You enjoy it for a short period of time there. It was a great win. I'm sure the guys had a chance to be with family after the game. Saw a lot of guys after we had our moment together in the locker room. Got a lot of guys had a chance to go back to the field, be with their family that traveled in for the weekend, friends that traveled in for last weekend. So to be able to enjoy that with them, but the next day it's right back to work, because our Sunday is, our Sunday schedule, where we come in and we watch the game tape, we try to clean it up, and you get a lift in and you get treatment and all that. So it's really just kind of on to the next one. And obviously don't really have time, good or bad, to dwell or spend a lot of time on what's, something that has already happened. It's always got to be full speed ahead. And I credit our guys, credit our coaches for having that mindset and being able to get that done.
For sure.
Coach, obviously I've never covered the action games before. Is there anything different about just those kind of games, obviously, besides just the day that you guys have to prepare for?
Yeah, I think like today's weird. Today's Monday, but it's Friday. Tomorrow, I don't even know. It's Saturday, but it's not Saturday. It's Tuesday. So really just making sure the guys know that, which can be a good thing too, because we're practicing on Saturday and Sunday. Those are our 2 heavy work days. Nobody's got to race out to go to class. Nobody's got to cut practice early because they have an 11 o'clock class where there might be a class conflict and they got to go in order to get that done. So it's nice to not be able to rush through, a Saturday or a Sunday when you're preparing, because those are the work days. Everybody else might be playing college football tomorrow, but we're practicing and we're working. And I think the unique thing, cool thing about Maction, for lack of a better word, we're kind of the only show in town. Now there is a lot of football, and I'm guilty. If there is time at night and you're done with your preparation for that day, I'm guilty of turning on the TV as well. And I've been watching the Conference USA games. I've been watching the Sun Belt games. And so I think there's football on every night of the week now, which I like. I'm not sure every member of my household loves that. I love that. But I think it's cool to be the only show in town. And so when you're talking about Tuesday night and Wednesday night, the Mid-American Conference during the month of November, that's kind of the only show in town, and a lot of people tune in. Sometimes it's not always a good thing. But I think it's cool for our guys, too, whose family may not be able to get to the game, to be able to see them on TV, wherever they're at in the country. I think is really awesome. And it's our chance for our conference to kind of have the national spotlight and show how great this conference is. And a lot of good football players, very competitive, good football games that take place week in, week out. So I think that's something that's always been unique about that. I think it's interesting to see that, now there's other conferences across the country that are entering into TV deals during the month of October on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. And I think that just shows the thirst, for lack of a better word, for football, and for a lot of different reasons.
For sure. A little bit more about Bowling Green. Like you said, they're on a 2-game winning streak, but they've had some, changes to their quarterback and some injuries and stuff. What do you kind of see as their team's style and identity? Yeah, and I give Scott a lot of credit. I know Scott, have a lot of respect for Scott, obviously from back in his days when he was at Michigan as a player and all that, but they're finding ways to win. I think that's key. Whatever formula that has to be for that game, they've done a good job. He's done a good job of getting that done. And I think it all starts with them doing such a good job in the turnover margin. That's going to give you a great chance every single week, no matter who your opponent is. And you look at that game, big win. I mean, that's a huge win at Georgia Tech on the road. They won that turnover margin that game by +3 and really did a great job on the road. And I think, you mentioned playing 2 quarterbacks, and I think that's him also believing that he's got 2 guys that he feels confident enough that he can send both those guys out there and they can run the offense at a high level, make good decisions. I think Terrion Stewart is a special player. Obviously what he's doing and the amount of yards that he has after contact is pretty special. So we got to do a great job tackling. But this is just a well-rounded football team. They're very good defensively. We feel like we're very strong defensively as well. And so this is a good football team. And, the last couple of weeks they played in some tough conditions, but they've handled it. They've been in rainy weather both against Akron and when they were on the road against Buffalo. Been some rainy conditions, but they've handled that and they've figured out the best formula to win those football games, and no matter what the conditions were. So I think that shows me that's a football team that whatever they got to do to adjust, whatever they have to do to make any tweaks, they've been able to get that done and play high-level football. And you guys have done a pretty good job the last couple of weeks of limiting the turnovers right after a little bit worse at the previous games. What's been key to that? What do you see as trends that can continue?
I think continuing to emphasize it like we do in practice and not pushing the panic button. Certainly, it's only natural as the head coach when things like that maybe pop up and you've had some turnovers. I always go and I'm like, okay, what can be done that's better at practice in order to attack that so it doesn't happen? And yes, we've continued to emphasize it, maybe change a few matchups, maybe change how we do a drill, but we're still devoting the same amount of time in practice like we always have. And I think guys, certainly understand how important and how premium it is to take care of the football. And so just continuing to emphasize it, not push the panic button. I credit guys because they've done a good job with that, as you mentioned, in the last couple of weeks.
And then last one, as you review the film from last week, obviously there's a lot of good things. So like anything that you feel like you guys have really kind of emphasized as an area to work on in practice since?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think just overall proud of our football team, just the way we competed for 4 quarters. Really the way we're playing defense right now. I'm very confident playing high-level defensive football right now. We continue to play like that. We're going to have an opportunity in every game. Now we got to be efficient when we're on the offensive side of the ball. I thought we took a big step in the right direction last week, rushing for almost 250 yards. The offensive line did a great job because it wasn't just all one. It wasn't just all RPOs. It wasn't just all zone read. Coop had a big day there rushing the ball, taking care of the ball, grinded out some tough yards where he might have been, hit in a short yardage situation where he, really just kept driving and fighting and competing. And then, like I said, our offensive line deserves a lot of credit. Never get enough credit that way. And then, when we got ourselves in position with a 2-touchdown lead, our defense was awesome. Obviously, we want to be able to close out the game in a 4-minute offensive drive and not give them the football back. But there was just a couple plays here or there where that's executed a little bit differently. Then we don't kick the ball back to them. And, again, but also credit Lucas Burrow, also credit our special teams and Tucker Dunn for stepping out on the field at a critical time, delivering probably the best punt of the year and pinning them where they had to go 92 yards with no timeouts left. And then, but just to see the effort of our defense to finish that thing off, credit those guys. And there's a lot of credit to go around, starting with the guys up front. Sidney Houston doing what he's doing right now, rushing the passer. Cole Pearce playing as steady as he is. Keontae Newsom just getting better and better each week. Both as Jordan Riley and Alderic Mallory, both those guys are just playing high-level football right now. We just got to keep building on that. Those guys certainly took advantage, as physical as they're playing right now, certainly took advantage of a couple extra days of rest to get healed up, because you talk about laying it on the line. And, be another tough one here next Wednesday night.
No, I was looking in the record book. It says we haven't played Ball State, hasn't played Bowling Green since 2015.
Yeah.
Is that kind of just a little bit odd, even though it's an in-conference game? There's no really film for 8 years.
Especially as how close they are to us.
Yeah, that's weird.
I've always wondered that as well, because this is my first time as a head coach playing against Bowling Green, and obviously back when I was here as a student athlete, we played them every year. But yeah, I've always wondered that over the years. Obviously, not being involved in the scheduling piece of it from a conference level, I've always wondered, how can we not play against a team that's that close to us until 8 years into it? But I don't have anything to do with that. Certainly, I always wondered that. But obviously, it's going to be a great matchup. And again, look, I have a lot of respect for Scott.
Is it almost like prepping for a non-conference game just because you haven't played them in so long?
Well, I mean, yes and no. There's a lot of film. Obviously, we've been able to see them, even though we didn't play them the last couple. We haven't played them since I've been here. You still see a lot of crossover tape. They're playing against somebody else that we're playing, whether it's a MAC West opponent, whether it's an East opponent, whatever it is. So we've had a chance to see them a ton on tape over the years, and obviously we got a full season's worth of tape to evaluate them from this year. But it's going to be going to be a tough, hard fought team that they're going to have their best, and they're going to be ready to roll because they're playing for a lot as well, and we're playing for a lot on our end of it.
Do you think that, you've mentioned the turnover margin being something that they really excel at. You've also mentioned in the past just how highly you think of Kyle's decision making. Do you think his play style and decision-making will benefit the offense and limiting turnovers?
Well, I think it just starts with, whatever the play style is, he's just done a really good job taking care of the ball, making good decisions, very efficient, obviously passing game. The first start he had tough to throw it to some degree during some parts of that game, but come back 13 for 16 in that game. Really good decision making. He had a couple huge third down throws where he stood in there, got a little bit noisy around him, stood tall in the pocket and delivered a strike. Obviously his ability on the move. I think one thing that probably doesn't get enough credit for. It's easy when you take off from the pocket, you immediately enter scramble mode. I'm taking off, but he kept his eyes downfield. And one that I keep thinking of was the one down here to Tanner, where he took off running, but he kept his eyes downfield and delivered a nice strike there to Tanner. And that was a big gain on that play. So he's just doing a really good job decision-making wise right now, not forcing it, being good in the zone read stuff, because it might sound simple, but you're also putting the ball into a running back's gut. And he has no idea if you're going to pull it. He has no idea if he's going to give it. And so there's a lot that goes into it. You work on that every single day. So just the decision making on that and really being good with ball handling, I think, are things that we just got to continue to keep moving forward on. And he's done a good job of that.
The number of pass attempts that he's had in his 2 starts, is that kind of what fans can expect to see?
Well, I think too, obviously you still want to be balanced to some degree, and I think there's probably a few more pass plays called than 16, which is what he ended up, but some of those obviously he pulled it and ran, and some of them were had potential throws there, but again it speaks to the decision making piece of it. Didn't force it, and obviously he's a dangerous weapon with his legs, and he can make some good things happen that way as well.
For sure.
MAC teams you haven't played yet?
I think this is it. Yeah, I think this is it. It's amazing. We've traveled to Buffalo a bunch, and they've come here, and that's the furthest one. I'm like, wait a minute. But I think this is it. Yep.
There you go.
So,
bucket list.
there you go. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Coach. The man with the new cut.
What's up? Good.
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk to you, I guess, the last couple of games, but this defense has really been just kind of playing lights out. You've been a big part of that. What's just kind of been working? What's led to the improvement?
Yeah, I think it's kind of what I said when I talked to you last time, just chipping away at it, having the confidence, having the trust in everyone, and just knowing that we have the people out there to have a really good defense. So it was just this over the last couple of weeks. I feel like we've just been playing a lot better, executing a lot better. But in the end, I knew that this was going to happen. I knew we'd get better every single week. It was just a matter of time before we actually showed that on Saturday.
What gave you so much, I guess, firm belief that it was going to turn around?
Yeah, that just kind of happened throughout the off season. And then obviously in the training camp, and that just didn't happen overnight. It took a long period of time to gain that trust and confidence in the defense as a whole. So just being around the guys, just knowing that we got dudes at every position that they can make plays at any point of any game. I always had confidence in our defense this whole entire season. But it was just a matter of time, like I said, when we really showed it and really started breaking out of our shell.
And, for you specifically, like 2 really key third down QB hits last week that forced punts. Obviously, that's the money down in any game. How do you just kind of approach those moments to kind of step up and be a leader?
Well, I just got to shout out the coaches. They're the reason they put me in those situations. To be successful in those situations. So first, I think the coaches have just put together great game plans these last couple weeks, getting after our opponent. So really, I mean, it could be me, it could be any of our D linemen, it could be any DB. So really, we just, as a whole, I feel like we all kind of just trust the game plan and trust the coaches to put us in those situations. To execute.
Sure. And then moving to this week, I guess, it's Maction. It's a different type of schedule. How do you kind of just approach the extra days off or extra days of practice and stuff like that?
Yeah, the little mini bye week was definitely needed. it was a good couple of days to get some rest, and not only physically but mentally, getting away from the building for a little bit. So it was good, just like a little small reset to get it going. But today was kind of our first day back. I mean, today's technically an off day, but it was our first day really digging into the game plan and whatnot. So I think everyone's ready to get back into it.
Is there anything different about just playing in these midweek action games on national TV? You know, I think Coach said it's like the only show in town, so to speak.
No, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it's obviously different time. The games are at different times, of course, since we're playing at night. So just adjusting a little bit on game day, I guess, when you have all day to prepare for the game rather than playing at 2 p.m. But overall, no, I don't think it's football's football. So whether we play on Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, it doesn't really matter. So nothing crazy for me.
I guess as we've discovered, Bowling Green is not a familiar opponent for Ball State. I think he said in play since 2015, but I know you're still in the early stages of game planning. But what's your evaluation of their offense? How you guys kind of match up? Yeah,
they got a really good running back that's ranked top in our conference. So we've been obviously had a couple extra days to watch a lot of film. But what we've seen and as a linebacker, being a leader of the front seven, it's going to be definitely my job this week to put our defense in the best position to stop their run.
What makes him in the running game so good?
I mean, just the number of yards he's had per game. He's a stud. He's smaller guy, powerful runner, quick. But like I said, I feel like we face we face good running backs every single week. But their running game is definitely one of their strengths. What I would say for this upcoming week.
And then last one for me, anything from the game last week that you still can think back on or watched in film that was like, hey, this needs to get better, you know, this needs to be worked on still?
I would just continue to say communication. I just think you can never communicate enough, especially on defense, especially how what offenses do is with motions and trades and different types of formations. So I've never really, even after any win, including last year, I'm just never really satisfied when we get those wins. There's always something to improve on. So I would definitely say continue to just harp on communication and tackling, of course, every single week. So
I don't think that we've talked to you this year after a win, and so I'm just interested. What did that win feel like for you? I mean, it had been I think it had actually been a month since this team had won. So when that happens on Saturday, how did you go about kind of soaking that in?
Yeah, Saturday was definitely a special day and definitely a special weekend, especially with homecoming. A lot of the families were here, including mine. So like you said, we were for sure struggling for a little bit there for a month, like you said. So to just get that win for homecoming, a bunch of alumni were back, and especially at home against a good opponent. It just overall just felt really good.
You've been in this program for a while, and obviously they operate under the one game at a time mentality. How do you go about balancing feeling really good about a win and then also just kind of moving on to the next opponent?
We got kind of like a 24-hour rule, I'd say, that our strength coach Armour always talks about, of just, you can obviously enjoy it Saturday, of course, but when we get back in here on Sunday, we're kind of already flipping the page and moving on to the next opponent, watching some film, going over the previous game, of course, but we're kind of already flipping that page going into Sunday. So it's kind of a quick turnaround. Obviously enjoy it because winning's hard, especially on that Saturday, especially after the game with your teammates, your family, whoever. But yeah, it's kind of a short turnaround for sure.
When you're making that short turnaround and looking at film from the last game, what's your biggest takeaway from the defense's perspective as to what you guys did well against on homecoming?
it's kind of funny how you say that because personally, in the inside linebackers room, Coach Stock, we don't really watch any of our great plays or anything. It's usually just all of our mistakes that we can learn from going into the next week. But of course, like if we have a great day on defense and we have a good amount of turnovers or sacks or tackles for loss, I think it's just I don't think we think about it too much. I think it's just that confidence again that helps us build into the next week to continue to do that and be consistent with that week in, week out.
So you feel like you don't really need to, I guess, receive praise after the fact. You just know that you did things well and you can continue to build off that?
Yeah, and if some wins are obviously cleaner than others, but let's be real here. I mean, every single time you win, every single game, people are messing up. People are also making great plays, like you said, but I think it's just more beneficial to look at the mistakes rather than all the great plays that everyone made on defense. I think it's done us well in the past to look at the mistakes and learn from those and move on to the next week and how to minimize those going into the next week.
Yeah. Seems like this mini-bye week comes at a really key point in the season where you had just experienced a losing streak and then you get that game to win and you can kind of take some time off to build off that and recharge the batteries. Do you feel like right now was a really good time for this kind of mini-bye week?
Yes, of course. Like I said, with the homecoming win, I thought that was a really big win, and I think that gives us, our team as a whole, a good amount of confidence going into these last 4 weeks. And then obviously the bye week, just getting off our feet, having a little reset button mentally and physically going into these last 4 weeks because we know what's at stake. So yes, I think it's perfect timing, honestly, going into these last 4 weeks.
What's the mentality of the defense going forward? I mean, you just said you guys know what's at stake, so what's the mentality?
As it always been, starting week one, just to be the best defense in the conference. We've always harped on that. Our Coach Stock has always harped on that, and to continue to get better every single week. Never be satisfied from the week before. Since we had a good game last week, that doesn't mean that we're gonna have a good game this week statistically. So just continue to harp on that. Continue to stay humble. Continue to just never be satisfied and continue to get better week in, week out.
I know you talked about kind of the progression that Keontae has made so far this year. Kind of working beside him, what has it been like to kind of see him progress?
Yes, I'm very proud of him stepping up into the role he did. Wasn't an easy role to step in. Of course, losing Clayton, a huge leader on our team, but he's just done a phenomenal job stepping up and really taking advantage of his opportunity and meeting with whoever, watching as much film as he can to just not let his teammates down and play the best he can every single Saturday. He's made huge improvements throughout the season, getting the reps that he's gotten throughout this year. So overall, I'm just so proud of the man. So proud, so awesome to see him grow as a football player and as a man this season. So yeah, I'm just really proud of him, and I can't wait to play with him in the last 4 weeks.
All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Mr. Cooper. Thank you, Cole. As always, thank you.
All right. We were talking about the running back that Bowling Green has and how talented he is and things like that. I know that you have high aspirations and want to be the best. When you find yourself going against another really good running back, does that kind of put a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, it definitely makes you want to win the rushing battle, with yards and touchdowns and stuff. But most importantly, I want to win. So, yeah, it definitely does fire me up just to see and let the other back know who the best is.
Obviously, Bowling Green has done a really good job this year at forcing turnovers. But it seems like with this offense, with Kyle's play style and really heavy run, you guys might be more fit to not turn it over as much. What do you think that this offense does well at limiting turnovers with Kyle at quarterback?
Just running the ball way better with him at quarterback in all aspects. With whoever's getting it, just the O-line blocks extremely better. We play extremely better, and just I think everybody just is on one accord with him in the game.
Do you feel like the passing game even is, I don't want to say more safe, but more, I guess, comfortable, and you kind of know what you have there?
Yeah, it's still explosive, and it's still pretty good, and it just adds an extra threat. Even when that breaks down, we got a guy that can run the ball and extend the play with his legs, so that's good for us.
For sure. Obviously, last week, one of your best weeks of the year, if not the best. What are you looking to build off of last week that you did well, and what are some things that you're also looking to improve on?
I'm still hoping to get another 1,000-yard year to make it my third one straight. So I got a lot of work to do in these last 4 games, and I got goals and aspirations like the next man. So I'm just trying to keep it rolling, keep it going, and if there's a hole, I'm gonna find it.
Yeah. Coach Neu was talking about how he doesn't feel like the offensive line gets enough credit, and I remember on Saturday you were crediting the offensive line for your success. What's the relationship that you have with the offensive line, and how are you able to just really feed off of the blocks that they give you?
We got a relationship to where, me and my guy Corey, he'll ask me if a run went to his side, why'd you cut it here, why'd you cut it there? And I'm able to tell him exactly what I seen, because he can't really see what I see because he's obviously blocking and stuff. So we got a good relationship with all of them, and if they make a mistake and I get into them, they're not going to fight me back or get mad at me, and they're just good guys, and they just are good guys that got good character.
Sure.
I would say, playing on national television, it's kind of Tuesday, Wednesday games for the MAC here. Is there kind of a different feel in the locker room knowing that these games are for a bigger audience? I feel as though, and I feel good going into this week playing these night games, on ESPN2. So it's going to be an exciting game. I like playing at the nighttime, and I've been to BG for the past all my years, so I like playing there, and it's going to be a good one. Is there kind of a different adjustment period to adjusting to the MAC schedule?
Just a little bit, you just got to treat the weekends like the weekdays now that it's flipped. So it's not that big of a change.
Now that you guys are kind of hitting one road again, right? Anything that you guys recall from the last road trip, how you guys started off the MAC season that you're like, hey, we didn't do X, Y, and Z, and we need to kind of correct it now that we're going on the road?
Yeah, I don't think it has nothing to do with going on the road or anything like that. It has everything to do with what we do in between the white lines. So I'm hoping that we learn from our mistakes and we're able to just show what we're made of for the rest of the season.
I mean, one of the things, especially was kind of slow starts, I guess, were an issue earlier, and then this last game, you guys get your first opening drive touchdown, and you did the same thing in the third quarter. How can you guys keep that going? Because obviously that's what you want, right?
I mean, it's just confidence. We just feel good going out there, feel comfortable, and it's just like I kept saying in my last interview, enough is enough, and we're all ready to just go win now.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Coop.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.